The Devil's Anvil. The sun, a relentless blacksmith itself, hammered its heat onto the dusty streets of Redemption, a town seemingly forged in the crucible of its transgressions. In the heart of this parched settlement resided Jebediah Crane, the blacksmith. A man as enigmatic as the shadows that danced in the fiery belly of his forge. He wasn't merely a craftsman of metal, he was a sculptor of deception, a maestro of duplicity. Jebediah was a chameleon, seamlessly blending into the tapestry of redemption. To the townsfolk, he was a comforting constant, a sturdy oak in a forest of uncertainty. His booming laughter echoed through the saloon, his hearty greetings warmed even the coldest hearts. But beneath this facade of geniality lurked a serpentine cunning, a darkness as profound as the abyss. Unbeknownst to the unsuspecting inhabitants of Redemption, Jebediah's anvil birthed not just horseshoes and farming tools, but the instruments of his clandestine activities. Every clang of his hammer, every shower of sparks, was a silent testament to his double life. One sweltering afternoon, a solitary rider materialized on the horizon, a mirage given form. Silas Blackwood, a gunslinger whose reputation preceded him like a desert wind, rode into Redemption. Silas was a phantom himself, tracking an even more elusive specter, the Ghost, a bandit who'd been haunting the territories, leaving a trail of plundered stagecoaches and shattered dreams in his wake. Jebediah, ever the opportunist, saw a chance to weave his web of deceit even tighter. He extended a welcoming hand to Silas, plying him with whiskey and tales of the Ghost's supposed whereabouts. He painted vivid pictures, leading the gunslinger on a relentless pursuit of a phantom, all the while concealing his own nocturnal escapades as the very bandit Silas sought. As Silas ventured further into the desolate wilderness, Jebediah's confidence swelled. He'd outmaneuvered the gunslinger, ensuring his freedom to continue his nefarious activities. But Silas Blackwood was no greenhorn. He possessed an uncanny intuition, honed by years of navigating the treacherous landscape of the West. A nagging suspicion gnawed at him, a discordant note in the symphony of Jebediah's stories. He abruptly turned his steed, his resolve hardening with each hoofbeat that carried him back toward redemption. The blacksmith had misjudged him, mistaking his amiable nature for gullibility. The sun, a molten orb, began its descent, painting the sky with hues of fiery orange and blood red. The lengthening shadows seemed to echo the encroaching darkness in Jebediah's soul. Back in Redemption, the blacksmith reveled in his ill-gotten gains, blissfully unaware of the impending storm. The saloon doors swung open with a bang, and Silas strode in, his presence as ominous as a gathering thundercloud. Jebediah's eyes widened in alarm, his jovial mask slipping. The atmosphere crackled with tension, as palpable as the heat from his forge. "You're a deceitful serpent, Crane." Silas's voice was a low growl, his hand resting ominously on the butt of his revolver. "And serpents meet their end with a bullet." Jebediah's heart pounded like a blacksmith's hammer. He lunged for his weapon, but Silas was lightning in human form. A deafening roar shattered the silence, followed by the sickening thud of a body collapsing onto the sawdust-covered floor. The blacksmith, once a master manipulator, lay sprawled in a crimson pool, his secret spilling out with his lifeblood. As Silas holstered his smoking gun, the saloon's patrons stared in stunned silence, their trust in Jebediah shattered. The sun finally surrendered to the night, leaving redemption cloaked in the cold, silvery glow of the moon. Jebediah's forge stood dormant, a chilling monument to his falsehoods. The Devil's Anvil had grown cold, its master meeting a fate he had long evaded. The gunslinger had dispensed justice, leaving a town forever scarred by the blacksmith's treachery. News of Jebediah's demise spread through Redemption like wildfire. The townsfolk, once blind to his duplicity, now grappled with the bitter truth. The blacksmith they had revered was a wolf in sheep's clothing, a predator masquerading as a protector. In the aftermath of the shooting, Silas Blackwood became an unlikely hero. The townspeople, grateful for his intervention, showered him with praise and gratitude. But Silas, a man of few words, accepted their accolades with a stoic nod. He had merely done what any honorable man would do, expose the darkness and restore balance. As Silas prepared to ride out of Redemption, a young woman named Emily approached him. She was Jebediah's daughter, her eyes brimming with tears. "Why?" she asked, her voice choked with emotion. Why did my father have to die? Silas looked at her, his heart heavy with sorrow. Your father made his choices, Emily, he said gently. And those choices led him down a dark path. Sometimes, the only way to escape the darkness is to face the consequences. Emily nodded slowly, her tears tracing a path down her cheeks. I understand, she whispered. But I will miss him. Silas reached out and placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Grief is a heavy burden, Emily, he said. But remember, your father's actions do not define you. You have the power to forge your path, to create a life filled with light and goodness. Emily looked up at him, a flicker of hope returning to her eyes. Thank you, Mr. Blackwood, she said. I will never forget your kindness. Silas mounted his horse and tipped his hat to Emily. Farewell, young lady, he said. May your future be bright. And with that, he rode out of Redemption, leaving behind a town grappling with the aftermath of betrayal and loss. The tale of Jebediah Crane, the deceitful blacksmith, would be whispered for generations to come, a cautionary tale of the darkness that lurks within.